Hello again. Today we're going to take a look at the TIDRADIO TD H3. After reading numerous positive reviews, I was curious to see the reasons for its popularity. TIDRADIO sent me a unit to test and review, and I was happy to oblige. I had the chance to play with it for several weeks now, and I've come to like it a lot. In many ways, it's similar to the Baofeng UV5R radio, but I've come to favor the H3. While they are similar in size, the speaker audio is nice and loud on the H3, and you can easily hear the radio outside in a noisy environment. Often with other radios, even with the volume turned all the way up, they're still not loud enough to hear. The H3 is loud. Another thing I appreciate is the size and feel when holding it. It feels very solid in the hand, and you can get a really good grip on it. The keypad buttons are a little bit small and compact, but I haven't had any difficulty while operating them. Like all radios, it's not perfect, and there are some minor things that I would like to see improved on, but overall, I like it. I like it a lot. I'll give a further breakdown of the pros and cons at the end of the video, but for now, let's take a look at what came in the box and check out the operation and programming of it. The box I got from TIDRADIO contained the H3 user manual, a belt clip for the radio, an antenna, a strap, which I really didn't have use for, and a charger, which is essentially a USB charger, USB-A to USB-C, and then, of course, the H3 radio. The first thing I did was attach the antenna to the radio. It's a female SMA antenna connector, and the radio is a male. The display is really nice. It's a 1.44-inch TFT color display. It's really easy to read compared to most other radios out there. Next thing I did was attach the belt clip to it. There are two screws that secure it to the radio. It's a little tricky just because of the spring mechanism, but once you have it on, the belt clip is very firm and secure, so it's not going anywhere. The charger is a typical wall charger. USB-A to USB-C is the cable type. It's 5 volts at 2 amps, so it's really common. This is the USB-C end of the cable, and that plugs into the battery to charge it. The charging port is on the bottom, so what you do is you take the USB-C end, plug it in, and when you plug it in, you'll get a little light. If the light is red, it needs to be charged. If the light is green, it's all charged and ready to go. Out of the box, when you turn the radio on, you'll get the TIDRADIO logo display and then some frequency that the factory has stored in the radio for testing. The left side of the radio has a push-to-talk A button, push-to-talk B button, and a customizable button. The customizable button will by default turn on the flashlight and strobe light, but you can set it up to turn on other functions like the FM radio by setting it up in the menu. By pressing the button and holding it, you can monitor the channel to see if there's any traffic on it. It just basically puts it into carrier squelch mode. On the other side of the radio, we have the speaker mic port and a USB-C port. If you want to remove the battery, there's a little latch on the bottom. What you do is you slide it in the direction of the arrow, and then the battery will be released from the radio. To put the battery back on the radio, you just slide it into position and then press down on the bottom until it snaps into place. On the front of the radio is our keypad. The blue button is the button that we press to get access to the menu and also to turn on the Bluetooth, which we use for programming the radio. When Bluetooth is active, you'll see a little indicator on the screen. Next, we have the up-down arrows for scrolling through the menu, and then the orange button, which is the VFO memory recall and exit button. Pressing the button will give you the option to select the memory recall mode or the VFO mode. And if you're in the menu mode, pressing the button will exit you from the menu. Next, we have the keypad 0 through 9 and star and pound, and is used for direct entry of frequencies into the radio or recalling memory channels. Next, we're going to move up to the color display. It's a 1.44-inch TFT color display, very easy to read. I love the large characters on it. In the upper left-hand corner, we have the transmit power indicator. When you're on high power, it reads number 5 across the scale, and when you're on low power, it reads 2.5 across the scale. So you have a good idea of if you're transmitting on high power or low power. And when you transmit, you'll notice the indicator next to that little antenna icon showing that you are transmitting. The signal strength meter for receiving a signal is that same icon.
Check 1, 2, 3.
To the right of that indicator, we have the transmit power. In this case, it's on high power. If it were on low power, it would have an L and look like this. The next indicator over is showing that it's wideband, and if it were an N like this, it would be narrowband. Here we have our battery status indicator, and down here we have our frequency. It will indicate whatever frequency you're listening to or transmitting on. So if you're talking through a repeater, it will change and show you the input frequency you're transmitting on. If you're simplex, then when you transmit, it'll be on the same frequency as you're listening on. But you'll have an indication of what frequency you're listening and talking on. Here we have our channel indicator showing what memory channel we're on. Right now we're on 8, down to 7, 6, using the arrows on the front keypad. To the right of that is the dual watch indicator. It looks like a circle with 2 arrows in it. When dual watch is on, this indicator will display. When dual watch is off, it's not there. Next, we have the letter S on the display, which indicates power saver mode. When the radio is set up in menu item number 3 to turn on the power save mode, the letter S will appear here. And as you can see, I have the power saver mode on. Next to that, we have the musical note, which is an indicator that the voice readback from the radio is turned on. And to the right of that, we have the Bluetooth indicator for when the Bluetooth is turned on in the radio. In the lower half of the radio is a white box. In that box is the display for band A and band B. What we have in band A right now is 446.580, and for band B we have 146.52. Next to band A, you'll notice on the left side a green arrow. That's indicating that that's the band that we're working with currently, and is also displayed by the large numbers above. Over on the right, you'll notice the word off. That tells us that in the current receiving mode, the radio is not using any sort of a PL decode or CTCSS decode tone. It's in carrier squelch. If you had the radio in tone squelch, it would show CT for CTCSS as being on. When you transmit, you'll notice a little green arrow indicating which band you're on. In this case, we're on band A. If we transmit on band B, you'll see the arrow pop up on band B right there. I just removed the screen protector so you'd have a better view of the screen as we go through the menu. The H3 has a really long list of menu items, and I'm going to go through them here very quickly so that you can see them. The radio has the usual things like bandwidth, squelch, transmit power level, power saving, steps, backlight, timeout timer, receive DCS, transmit CTCSS, different scanning modes, your frequency or name display, busy locks, directions, offsets, memory delete, alarm, CTCS, DCS, Roger beep. Please turn the Roger beep off. A lot of new hams will buy radios and not realize this is on. Please go in your menu and turn them off. It serves really no purpose. So getting back to the menu, there are a lot of items in here you probably won't mess with, but it's nice at least to have the option. You'll probably find about a half dozen or so menu items that are really what you need to mess with, and the rest of them you really won't. The mic gain menu item is kind of unique for the H3. I like the idea that this is in the radio as an option, but I'm not sure it's functional. I have a feeling it's not. I did some level changes with it and heard no change at all on the other radio that I was working with. So I have a feeling this is just a menu item, but not a functioning one. Scramble we don't use. AM band, that's the aircraft band, so we can monitor the aircraft frequencies. I like that for my own personal use. You may or may not want it on. I like it on. Most of these are pretty self-explanatory, and the owner's manual has some more information on these. So here we are. This is 57 different menu items. So I find that I only use about a half dozen or so, things like PL, CTCSS, or repeater offsets, that kind of thing. But at least you have the option to explore it and set up some custom things on the radio. Next, I'm going to play a little audio for you so you can hear the difference in the tone of the audio. Hopefully it'll come across in the video. On the left, I have a Baofeng UV5R, and on the right, I have the TIDRADIO H3. I found the H3 to be a little bit warmer sounding tone, a little fuller sounding tone, and the UV5R is a little flatter. See if you can hear the difference.
At least like about 16-foot diameter. So it's not too big, but it's not too big, but it's not too small too.
How does it hold up in the wind? It seems like it would, there's a lot of surface area there. I wonder if, when we get to Santa Ana's, if it would, struggle with that, or if you found that it's okay.
Hopefully you could hear the difference between the two radios. The H3 on the right has a warmer tone to it, and also a lot louder, much louder than the UV5R. And you can also see in this side-by-side comparison that the radios are similar in size, but the H3 is a little bit rounder and fits more comfortably in the hand than the UV5R does. And you can see the difference in the size of the displays here. The next thing I'm going to do is program in 446.0 simplex, which is the national simplex calling frequency on 440. So to get into that, I'm going to have to hit VFO. Currently I'm in channel memory. I have the volume down because there's traffic on the radio right now. So I'm going to hit this orange button. It's going to sequence until it says VFO on the left there. And I have the tower frequency for the local airport in our area on 118.6 because I was listening earlier. But I'm going to change that to 446.0 like that by entering it on the keyboard. The next thing I'm going to do is make sure that my PL tones or CTCSS tones are set properly. In this case, I want them off. So I'll scroll up the menu to item 11 to make sure the receive CTCSS is off. There is receive CTCSS and it's off. I'm going to back down to make sure that receive DCS is also off. And then I'm going to go up to transmit. I don't need a tone. It's item number 13, and that is also off. So the two items that are typically changed are item number 11 for the receive CTCSS and the number 13 for the transmit CTCSS. It's the most common for the subaudible tones. Then the next thing I want to check is item number 23, and that'll be the simplex mode. And right now it's in the direction minus for the input of a repeater. I'm going to change that to none.
Confirm.
And then hit the orange button, which takes me back out. So now if I transmit, I'm transmitting on 446.00. Now if I were doing a repeater, I would do the same process, but it would be a repeater frequency. I'll show you that next. So the next thing I'm going to do is input a frequency for a repeater in our area. It's going to be 446.720. So I'm going to do
446.720.
an entry like that. And now I'm listening on 446.720. I'm going to do a PL tone, an encode PL tone, which is menu item 13, which is here. And it's currently transmit CTCSS is off. I'm going to change that by hitting the blue button, and I'm going to run it up to 103.5 like that. Hit the blue button. So now we have a transmit CTCSS tone of 103.5 stored. And I'm going to go up to item number 23, which is the direction, and it needs to be minus because here in Southern California the 440 repeaters are minus offset.
Confirm.
And then I have to dial in 5 megahertz of offset. So I hit the blue menu button to get into the menu. I enter 05000 for 5 megahertz, and then hit the blue button to exit out of the menu, and we're all set. I'm going to go back. That is still minus, and now we're 5 megahertz down. Let me exit out, and if I key it up, it should respond. There it is. So that's how you do it for simplex, and that's how you do it for a repeater. If it's 2 meters you want to enter in, same idea. Enter it in on the keyboard, and then do your offset and PL tones, and you should be good to go. So if I wanted to store this frequency, this repeater frequency, in the memory of the radio, I would hit menu, and it's menu item 25. I would go into it. And then you scroll on you can see it says currently CH-005, so it's channel 5, and it's occupied. There's already something in there. But if I scroll up, eventually that hyphen will go away right there, and I can store it into that channel. So you can see channel 11 is stored already, but channel 12 is open. So I'll just hit
Confirm.
I'll exit by hitting the orange button. and then I'm going to sequence through so that I go back into the memory channels, because currently I'm on VFO, as you can see on the display. So I'll hit the orange button to sequence. There it is, channel 12. You can see that it's in there. So if I go to channel 11, channel 12, that's the frequency we just entered. So that's how you do it on the keypad of the radio. So now let's take a quick look at how you do it on your phone using ODMaster with Bluetooth. So now I'm over on the iPhone that I have, and I have the ODMaster app loaded, which is a free app that I got from the App Store. The Android is similar to this, but we're working on an iPhone here. So I'm going to tap on the ODMaster app to open it up. It's going to open up, and first thing you're going to see is this display. You want to go to the bottom right where it says Program and tap on that. And then it's going to give you this page. You want to connect to the Bluetooth on the radio, so the radio has to be turned on with the Bluetooth menu item turned on for the Bluetooth. Tap Connect Bluetooth. You'll see this little slider switch on the right. That's really important. It's easy to overlook. Tap it. Make sure it turns kind of that color blue. It's going to connect. You're going to have a connection. I always get 9600 bits per second. Then you're going to tap on Select Model. In this case, it's TIDRadio. And I'm going to go down to where it says I can hit a couple of different options for the H3. I'll just hit H3 ham. Then I'm going to hit Read. And what this will do is it will download the data from the radio and put it on this app so that you can control it. You can add or delete frequencies and channels. So we're almost done. And it always comes up with channel number 1 displayed first. We tap on 1 to take us to the next menu. So we're going to go to channel 12. So here it read channel 12 from the radio, and you can see the frequency 446.72, which is the frequency that we were working with a few minutes ago. So we're going to go up and add another channel. We tap on that number 12 to get us back to the index page. Let's go up here to find an open one where it's red. And we're going to jump up to channel 14 and enter something in there. There's no data where it's red, only where it's green. So red is open, channel 14. And we're going to enter in on the second line the receive frequency. In this case, it's going to be 446.36. And then the line below it, I tap it, TX frequency, it automatically populates it as though it were a simplex frequency. It's the same frequency as the receive. We're going to change that. I'm going to go 5 megahertz down and make it 441.36. And then I'm going to tap down onto transmit encode and go to 103.5. Okay, so that's set. Transmit power is high. And I'm going to give it a name down below here. I'm going to give it the name of Papa 15, which is the name of the repeater that we're accessing. So I'm going to hit Done. And that's it. A quick review from the top. And I know I'm going quickly, but it just gives you kind of an overview of it. We're on channel 14. We entered in 446.36 as the receive frequency. The transmit frequency is 5 megahertz down for the offset. 441.36 we're transmitting on. We go a little further down to the encode PL tone, encode CTCS tone, the transmit tone of 103.5. Transmit power is high, bandwidth is wide, and scroll down a little bit further, and our name, Papa 15. Now I can save this and create a file. I'm going to upper right-hand corner tap Save, and I'll call it Demo Test, confirm, it's saved, and now I'm going to write that to the radio by tapping on the bottom right corner where it says write. Tap on that, and now it's writing to the radio. And you can go through the radio channels very quickly this way once you get familiar with it. The app is free, and it uses Bluetooth to connect to the radio. Just another way to do it. And the other functions for the radio are also available. If you tap function on the top, you'll see that you have quite a selection of the overall functions on the radio. And if you want to create a file that stores all of that data and channel memory information, you just save it and give it a name. And that's it. So now when you go back to the radio and turn it on, that channel will be stored. And the final way that you can program the radio is using CHIRP. Take a real quick look at that also. This will be a quick overview just to show that you can program the H3 using CHIRP software. CHIRP is a free open source radio programming software that you can download from the website chirpmyradio.com, and I'll put a link in the description below. I'm using CHIRP on a Mac with the Mac Silicon chip for this demonstration, but it's similar on a PC. For some reason, the USB port on the radio and my Mac don't talk to each other. I have no idea why, but we have a workaround. I'll be using the speaker mic port instead with a USB to speaker mic programming cable from TIDRADIO that I had. It plugs into the speaker mic port just above the USB-C port on the side. Next, I'll open CHIRP on the Mac, go up to the top and click on where it says Radio, pull down the menu, and click on Download from Radio. Another small window opens called Communicate with Radio. These are the settings for the Mac. Your settings might be slightly different. I then click the OK button and it begins to read the data from the radio. When it has finished the download, it opens up in a new window that displays all of the channel and frequency information. Here you can see some of the frequencies that we were programming a few minutes ago. One of the nice things about using CHIRP is how easy it is to move things around. In this example, if I want to move a frequency that's in channel 16, 146.97, and move it from channel 16 to channel 18, I can just click and drag it down to the channel 18 slot. Now let's say that I want to put in a different repeater into that channel 16 memory slot. I'm going to load in 147.03, a local Racy's repeater in San Diego. Since it requires a transmit PL tone, I'm going to click on the cell and click on Tone. The transmit tone is 103.5, so I just click on the cell and drag down until 103.5 is highlighted. If you look over here, you can see that it's already automatically populating the offset with a plus 600 kilohertz. It's FM and it's high power. After making any changes in the memory channel, I can then upload it to the radio by going up to the top of the screen, pulling down under Radio, then clicking on Upload to Radio. The COM port window will again appear, and we click OK to begin uploading to the radio. Now when we look at the radio, channel 16 now has 147.03 stored in channel 16, along with the transmit CT CSS tone. You can save the file on the computer and have as many of these files as you need for whatever purpose you might have. So here are my final thoughts on the H3. We have a pretty long pros list and a pretty short cons list. In the pro column, I like the loudspeaker volume. I think that's an important feature. It has a large, easy-to-read TFT color display, again, important. When holding the radio in your hand, it has a very solid feel to it, a very solid grip, so it's not going to slip out of your hand. I really like having the aircraft band receiver. You don't find that very often in handheld radios. The mic gain menu item is a nice addition. I'm not sure it really works though, but I like the idea that they're thinking about it and putting it in as a menu item. I'll have more on that in a moment in the cons column. The radio has a really nice quiet noise floor, very little hiss in the background when listening on a strong signal. I like the USB charging port because everybody has USB charging these days, and it's very convenient that you don't have to lug around a separate desktop charger. And it charges in 3 hours, so it's pretty quick. The built-in Bluetooth programming is a nice feature, in addition to other ways of being able to program the radio. Having 188 channels of available memory is really great to have. I find myself loading more channels into memory than I planned for, and having that many available is really great if you operate in a metropolitan area or just travel a lot. The radio has 199 channels, but 11 of them, channels 189 through and including 199, are pre-programmed with the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration weather channels. These pre-programmed channels makes it convenient to dial up local weather announcements when you're traveling. The radio also includes an FM broadcast band receiver, which can come in handy for being prepared for emergencies or travel. And like many radios today, it has the dual band watch receivers to monitor two frequencies at the same time. The H3 operates in the 140 and 440 MHz amateur radio bands, but it can also operate in the GMRS band, along with other frequencies in the VHF and UHF spectrum. Although I'm specifically looking at ham radio, this radio certainly has capabilities beyond just that. Moving over to the con side of the list, the long squelch tail that I mentioned may be noticeable to some users. You do get used to it, and it's not a deal breaker, but there is room for improvement here. The next item is the mic gain control. I played with it and honestly didn't hear any noticeable difference at all, so I wonder if it even works. Perhaps it's something that'll show up later in a firmware revision, but for that reason, I put it on the cons list. In summary, you can see the pros outweigh the cons, and I really do like the radio a lot. With 188 channels and the features this radio comes up with, I give it a thumbs up. If you're looking for a radio, I think you'll be very happy with the H3. If this video was helpful for you, please like, share, and subscribe so that others can take advantage of it as well. And be sure to check the comments section or the description box below for the link for the CHIRP My Radio website. Until next time, 73.